Hello, everybody. I'm Russ Lewis. We are starting today with big news for the local economy, and it is not good news. The oil markets just had their worst day of all time. Producers will now pay people to take the oil off their hands. West Texas Intermediate crude closed at negative $37 a barrel. Yes, I said negative, which means oil producers are paying buyers to take those barrels because they just have no more storage space for it. With everyone staying home, demand has dried up. In the markets, they were already overflowing before COVID-19. OPEC and Russia only agreed recently to cut their production. The West Texas price is the hardest hit. International oil prices, they are still in the black today, but this could have a huge impact for the energy industry here in Houston, no doubt. Jason Miles now explains what we know so far.
Local energy experts say it's no time to panic, but Houston's oil industry will be significantly impacted. After all, this is where most of the oil companies are headquartered and where they employ hundreds of thousands of workers. One local energy expert telling me these historic drops in oil prices probably won't improve greatly until the COVID-19 crisis subsides. And he believes that oil fields in West Texas and elsewhere, not operations here in Houston, will be most affected. Meanwhile, for consumers, it means lower prices at the gas pumps. And that's a mixed blessing since most people aren't really traveling or even going to work.
And the oil crash tanked the markets today. Stock market Dow closing 592 points lower. That's the worst day since April 1st. The S&P 500 finished down nearly 2%. Well, we know Houston's mayor has named the city's COVID-19 economic recovery czar. Former Shell Oil president Marvin Odom previously served as the city's chief recovery officer after Hurricane Harvey. He says he'll work with local chambers, businesses, and levels of government to reopen the economy safely. Odom says the process will be gradual. It will be phased in. One huge component is testing for the virus and also contact tracing.
Testing at the right place, at the right time, and at the right frequency. Now, this will be critical to developing the confidence that we all want and we all need. The confidence that our reopening steps are working the way that we intended.
Earlier today, Judge Lina Hidalgo named State Representative Armando Wally as Harris County's chief recovery czar. Texans are getting ready to get back to business, from relaxing rules on elective surgery to state parks reopening. Ron Trevino now takes us through the governor's plan.
This gator and the other wildlife at Sheldon Lake State Park have had the place all to themselves for the past 2 weeks. But now,
I just don't want to leave any trash behind.
Humans are back.
I think it's great to get some fresh air. There's lots of space so you can socially distance from everybody, but still get fresh air and sunshine.
But to visit a state park, there are new restrictions. You have to cover your face, maintain a 6-foot distance from people not in your group, and no gathering of groups larger than 5.
Everyone's doing a pretty good job. Everyone's staying apart, and the groups are far apart, so everyone's being really good about social distancing.
Also for state parks, you have to pre-purchase a day pass before you go. Still no overnight camping, and the state's historical sites like the San Jacinto Battleground remain closed. Meanwhile, at the Texas Medical Center, hospitals are getting ready to start performing some non-essential surgeries beginning on Wednesday. Roberta Schwartz is the executive vice president of Houston Methodist Hospital.
So we will widen the cancer procedures that we're doing. We'll widen orthopedic type of procedures, and even things like colorectal surgery, or in some cases, even transplants that were put off.
And more signs of life during the pandemic. Beginning on Friday, retail businesses not considered essential will begin offering to-go style service, including pickup and delivery. And a week from today, the governor is scheduled to announce more plans about reopening the state's economy. Back to you.
Thank you, Ron. Not everybody likes the governor's plan, though. Infectious disease experts say if you look at the entire state of Texas, the peak of this pandemic actually happened on Sunday. But the models show that we have not hit the peak here in Houston yet, and they're recommending social distancing through May. And we have proof that our stay-home measures are working. A few weeks ago, scientists thought that 6,000 Texans could die during this. Now they estimate fewer than 1,000. But the longer the country shut down, the more the economy is suffering. And today, the White House and congressional Democrats say they are close to a deal on a new financial relief package. Most of that money would go to small businesses an additional $300 billion for the loan program.
That program has been incredibly successful. It's kept workers connected to their firms and made it so that as governors start to decide to open up their economies, that the people be in place to do that.
Democrats had hoped to get a vote this afternoon. Instead, they will take up the issue, they say, tomorrow. We're thinking the president will probably talk about that deal with Congress during his daily briefing with the coronavirus task force. You're looking here at a live picture at the briefing room. Not ready to go yet, but we'll bring that to you live just as soon as it starts from the White House. The SBA is already out of money from the first stimulus package, leaving thousands of businesses in limbo. Stephanie Whitfield explains now where the money's gone so far and what help is still available.
Less than 2 weeks. That's how long it took for the Small Business Administration to run out of $350 billion set aside for the Payment Protection Program.
Where did the money go? According to data released by the SBA, businesses in Texas got more PPP loans than any other state. They were approved for just over $28 billion in assistance. The data is also broken down by industry. Construction businesses took the biggest piece of the pie, getting $45 billion in PPP funds nationwide. Businesses that offer professional, scientific, or technical services were approved for $43 billion. The low-interest loans were supposed to go to companies with 500 employees or less, but an exception was made for hotels and restaurants, which got $30 billion in assistance. Several big chains took advantage, including Ruth's Chris Steakhouses, Potbelly, and Kura Sushi. It turns out the money ran out before so many independent restaurants got a dime. So today, Shake Shack announced it obtained new funding and is returning the $10 million government loan the chain received. The company's CEO released a letter saying the first phase of the PPP was underfunded, and until every restaurant that needs it has had the same opportunity to receive assistance, we're returning ours.
Small business owners who haven't gotten any help yet do still have some options. Last week, Governor Greg Abbott announced Lyft Fund and Goldman Sachs are offering $50 million in loans just for businesses in Texas. We have information on how you can apply at khou.com. Stephanie Whitfield, KHOU 11 News.
Last week, we told you about a new proposal in Congress to send Americans $2,000 a month, every month, until the economy recovers from COVID-19. It is still one of the more popular stories we've seen on KHOU.com, so we wanted to give you an update on that plan. Several Democrats are sponsoring the bill. No Republicans have signed on just yet. To pass, though, the idea would need a majority vote in the House and the Senate, and then get a signature from President Trump. You're also clicking on a story about a bill in Congress that would cancel rent and mortgage payments until the pandemic is over. The Democrat sponsoring that says you would not have to repay the missed payments regardless of how much money you make. The government would instead pay landlords and mortgage holders. Again, this is just a proposal. Only 8 Democrats have signed on to it so far. A second mobile testing site is open in North Harris County. This one is in Humble. As many as 120 people can be tested here each day. You'll need to register first with Harris County Public Health. As with most places, walk-ins will not be tested.
This is a special site, too, because it is one that allows our children who are 13 and under to be tested.
The other county sites in Baytown and Katy do not allow kids 13 and younger to be tested. FEMA is expected to pay for 75% and Harris County 25% of the cost of this facility. With so much bad news right now, it's important to remember that most of the people infected with COVID-19 do indeed survive it. People like Dallas firefighter Stan Haggerty. At the end of March, he showed up to his shift feeling perfectly fine, but by the end of the day, he had a fever of 102. And unfortunately, the virus went home with him. His wife, Stacy, got sick. She jokes that's what marriage is for, sharing everything, even the bad stuff. They self-quarantined, and they are healthy once again.
God looked favorably upon us that, that not only did we both have it, but that we both recovered fully without any serious health complications.
And we're happy about that. Now the Haggertys, they want to share their story of hope and healing. Stan's back on the job with the Dallas Fire Department.